Hey everyone, it's me, John. Welcome to another episode of BrainScratch Searchlight. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today. You know, when children go missing, of course, it terrifies the parents. It's a very scary thing for everyone involved, but there are resources there to help. For example, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children are right there. There's numerous avenues that you can go to seek help pretty immediately. Things change quite a bit when someone reaches the age of 18. And, you know, according to who you speak to in terms of parents, some might think that their 18-year-old is an adult and able to take this world on. Others might think their 18-year-old isn't quite ready for it. Well, what happens when your 17-year-old turns 18 and 2 weeks later she goes missing? That is the case we're talking about here today. This is the case of Karena McClerkin, who went missing from Kokomo, Indiana. Karena McClerkin, 18, was last seen on Tuesday, October 11th of 2016 at 10 p.m. at the intersection of Washington Street and Markland Avenue in Kokomo, Indiana. She is described as a black female, 5 foot 4 inches tall, 130 pounds, with reddish-brown shoulder-length hair. She wears glasses and has an RIP tattoo on her right shoulder. Karena was last seen wearing a black shirt, ripped jeans, and brown sandals. She had her cell phone with her, but it goes straight to voicemail. Of course, they have some contact information there. I will include that in the description box below. Now, just right off the bat, we're talking about this is an 18-year-old. She is out around town 10 o'clock at night and goes missing. You have to wonder, is this something that occurred to her? Did someone abduct her, or did she go missing of her own accord? It's hard to call her a runaway because she's 18 years old. At that point, she, I believe in most, if not all states, she legally has the right to disappear. And as we talked about in a case on Case Cracked this week, even if you are underage and you run away, most of the states don't have laws where that is actually illegal. Now, what we have here that is concerning to her family, of course, is that she's been missing since October. So you've got many months of her missing. She apparently was struggling a little bit with some type of substance abuse problem. We'll get into the details a little more as they've been relayed to the media. And that is really one of the main reasons why I wanted to cover this case, because the media on it is extremely thin. That being said, the details on it are also somewhat thin, but there might be some subtext that we might be able to discuss after we go through those details. So let's take a look more into this case. Starting with the NamUs Profile, and yes, let me just give a quick correction. I have been incorrectly pronouncing it NamUs. It is actually NamUs. I know you guys have been commenting on it. I confirmed it with people that work there. It is NamUs. I will have that correct going forward. But starting at the NamUs Profile, we see that she's 18 years old. It's interesting they don't have her official date of birth. I'm not sure why that's the case here. Black African American, 64 inches tall, 130 to 135 pounds, missing since October 11th, 2016. We don't have a middle name, and we see that it was entered into NamUs a few weeks after she went missing. The profile strength is apparently between low and medium, and I have to say, to me, it's erring closer to being low. Here's all the information they have for the circumstances of her disappearing. She was last seen on Tuesday, October 11th, 2016 on the 1000 block of South Washington Street in Kokomo, Indiana. That's all they've got. They don't even have the intersection like we got off the poster. Here is a Google map of the actual intersection. And what I'm curious about is there seems to be a few gas stations here. I think those would probably be the most likely to have some type of video surveillance system outside of them. There is also a little bit of a strip mall here. It's possible that there might have been some cameras around that strip mall, maybe that caught her on this night that she had gone and disappeared. But I don't know if police really reacted to that, got to these places in time to pull those camera feeds before they might have been overwritten or deleted. Back to the NamUs profile. I gotta say, it's very weak on the physical description of her. It has her hair color, it has her eye color, and that is about it. Now, from the poster, we already heard that there's at least a tattoo that says RIP on her right shoulder. I've also seen some other notation that said she has a tattoo on her right forearm, but I haven't found any information about what that might be. But even those distinctive features, and they actually have a checkbox for tattoos, it has been missed on this profile for some reason. In terms of the clothing description, we do get pretty much a match to what we had heard from the poster. And as far as we know, there is no vehicle in play here. I don't know if she had a vehicle of her own, but there is nothing noted. There are no dental records. There is no DNA available, no fingerprint information available. They do have a number of images here. And what's most curious to me is, for the investigating agency, they do correctly have Captain Teresa Galloway noted with her phone number, but they don't actually have a case number in here, which is pretty interesting because I was able to find the case number through a different website. This is at kokomoperspective.com, and it's basically giving it's a press release that was issued from the police department, and they were just giving a status on their recently solved and ongoing runaway and missing persons investigations, and they have the case number here. So I will also note that in the description box below, just in case you try to call in a tip. From personal experience, I can tell you, you can call the police department, have the person's name, and that person that answers the phone might have no idea what you're talking about. If you don't have the case number, that can turn into 15 or 20 minutes of them going to look up the record. It really, really helps to have the case number, so I'll be sure to include that down below. And what's also worth noting at this page is it is stating that they are actively working this investigation, and this is as of February 21st, 2017. There has been a Facebook page created for Bring Karena McClerkin Home. You can come and check this out for yourself. Of course, I'll have the link down below. The only thing I wanted to note about it is there are a few videos posted here by a person named Tammy Ward, this lady here. I'm not sure if she is a family member. I get the feeling that she might be an aunt or something. I don't know if she's just a friend or a family member, but it's tough because I know these people are hurting, but the tone of these videos is, it hits me kind of odd. If you're really looking for help from someone and you're offering them money for tips on where this girl might be, there's this accusatory tone that's coming across so strongly that I don't believe anyone that has the information is going to pick up that phone and want to relay that information to you. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to criticize what you're trying to do. I think it's amazing that that you're trying to help and using social media and using it in this way. But I can tell you from personal experience, when anger seeps through into the media that you're putting out there, some people immediately reject it. If it's people that are certainly part of this case or close to this case, I don't think the money is enough. I don't think money truly talks, as you stated in one of these videos. It has to be something else to it. There has to be some level of endearment. And there's something else about these videos that strikes me a little odd. There's an assumption in these videos, I believe. It's hard to speak about other people's assumptions, but I think it's pretty straightforward, that there is someone that has taken her or has done something with her. And I don't know that that someone actually exists. It's very tough because from everything that I can see, this family, their sense of hope is really busted. It's really broken. The grandmother is actually being quoted as saying that she's pretty much expecting that Karena is dead. And just looking at other cases, I can tell you that's not a great assumption to come to so quickly. Just on Case Cracked with the Cody Page case we talked about this week, he was missing for a year and he was found. There are many instances where kids can go missing for a prolonged period of time, and that doesn't necessarily mean that something tragic or bad has happened to them. So if anything, if Tammy or any of the family happens to see this video, I want to try to help you guys regain some of that hope. We don't have to act like all is lost. I think looking through the woods for a body is an extremely tough thing for a family to do, but it's also a choice to spend your time in that way. And I don't know that that is time best spent for this case, because I really feel like there's a very good chance that she's out there somewhere, and it's really just a matter of getting to know her social circle, the people within there, and talking to some of them, or more likely having someone else talk to some of them to see if some of that information can shake out. I don't think it's very hard for a young woman to find someone that is willing to let them move in with them and hide out from their family. We've seen numerous cases of this happen before. So considering that she has just turned 18 years old 2 weeks before this, considering some other circumstances which we're going to get to, I just don't want you guys to give up hope. I think it is very reasonable that she is alive and she is out there. She might actually be hiding from you. And I don't know that statements as harsh as Tammy is making in some of these videos are going to help bring her out, or help people that are around her bring her out. Jumping over to the IndieChannel.com, father pleads for help finding missing daughter. Her father, James McClerkin, has been searching tirelessly. I just need answers, he said. I need people to talk. It's not snitching, trying to help find a kid. Now, some interesting points here. James said she left behind her wallet, ID, and the paperwork for a center. It's actually a rehab center that they're referring to. And this is part of the case where I think there might be some subtext that we could look into here that might help the family get a little bit of a better understanding about a reason why she might have disappeared. It's very clear from reading through this media that the family found out about her abusing some substance. We don't know what the substance is, but obviously some illegal narcotic of some kind. Actually, it could even be legal. It could be alcohol, but I think she's under the age in Indiana. Regardless, she's abusing something. It's clear the family has found out about it. They're saying that she was talking about going into rehab for it. As a matter of fact, she had these forms that she was working on filling out. That whole story is a line of thinking and narrative that she has been relaying to her family. Is that truly how she felt? I mean, obviously, she probably didn't want them to find out about her substance problem. They did. So then once they do, they're asking her about it. They're asking her to address it. And she starts saying, well, yeah, maybe I should go into rehab. And then they get forms, and then she's supposed to fill out the forms, and then she disappears. This leads me to believe that that chance of her still being alive somewhere, actually hiding out, is even higher. I think it's likely that whatever this substance abuse problem is has a firm grip on her right now. And she has been willing to push away all of her older life to spend more time in that mode, or with that substance, or with the people that are part of that substance abuse problem, which is another thing you really have to realize. The substance abuse angle brings a whole other dynamic into these cases. Not only is there a bit of a deception that starts going on typically between children and their family when they start abusing substances, but the substance doesn't come on its own. It comes with a whole group of people. And it could be that your child is associating with that group, and the substance is just a conduit to help that group all stay together. So it's really tough for me when I'm looking at this case and I see at least the father doesn't seem like his hope is shattered yet. It seems like he's looking for someone that knows where she is and she's alive. But to hear that she left without her wallet, without her ID, is certainly a little bit suspicious. Apparently, according to the other info we saw, she had her phone on her, but it hasn't been active. So just a little something to throw into the mix. When substances get involved, that story that the family knows, the reliability of that story, at least from my perspective, diminishes substantially. Because there's a good chance that kid is already lying to themselves for a big part of whatever the substance abuse problem is. And some of those lies are coming your direction. I pretty much guarantee it. Another thing that strikes me is anyone that's serious about rehab, you're not filling out paperwork. You're not working on filling out paperwork. You go to the rehab. as soon as you are strong enough, as soon as you have a moment of clarity where you are having that thought of, wow, this is a problem I really have to take care of. You get yourself to the rehab. You don't have a set of papers and over a course of days, I'll work on filling that out and then I'll go ahead and go down there. I don't think that's truly how it works, because if you give it that much time, your substance abuse problem, that trigger, that addiction is going to sway you back. And once again, this is even another reason why it could have led to her fleeing and hiding out on her own. Moving over to NBCnews.com, which thankfully, this is one of the bigger publications that has given this case some exposure. And that's one of the things that the family was talking about. And I think they have a fairly good point of, this is a missing person, and where is the media to help with this? It is pretty slim, but thankfully in March, literally this was posted just yesterday, NBC News has picked up on this case as well. The events leading to her disappearance are a bit foggy. Things had been rough in Karena's life, her grandmother Gerry told Dateline. Somewhere down the line, Karena began dealing with a number of substance abuse issues. Her grandmother remembers seeing her hang out with an older crowd, and she was concerned for her granddaughter's future. Karena had spoken about the possibility of going to a rehabilitation facility in Florida that a girl she knew had told her about. She had begun filling out the paperwork, but then she disappeared. Gerry, her grandmother, says she heard stories that Karena had been killed. Quote, "It's just a horrible mess, and the things you hear just make you sick," Gerry said. "I didn't want to believe she was dead. It took me a while to accept that idea." And that truly, truly breaks my heart to hear that her grandmother has already accepted that idea. I think there is plenty of hope left alive in this case. And I hope that her family can regain some of that, because obviously they really need it going forward. Karena's family continues to push on in their search. Gerry and a group of volunteers head out frequently to canvass various areas around town. Flyers are still being posted, and supporters post messages using the hashtag #BringKarena_Home. Someone has also set up a GoFundMe campaign. Her name is Brittany Brown, and she set it up on behalf of Karena's father, James McClerkin. Money will be used for flyers, private investigator, etc. Please continue to pray as well. This is someone's daughter, sister, and granddaughter. Please come together as a community to help this family and young girl. Thank you. And probably largely due to the lack of media on this case, they have only raised $295 out of a $10,000 goal to date. On behalf of my Patreon supporters and myself, we will also be making a donation to this GoFundMe. I hope that it helps them, particularly with flyers. I really, really think that is probably their time best spent on this case at this point, getting those flyers out into the hands of people that may know her or may have seen her or might know a circle of people that she is hanging out with. I really think there's a good chance that there could be some type of breakthrough around that. So I want to help them get some more flyers. WebSleuths does have some coverage on this case, but once again, it is very thin. We've talked about the stereotypes around missing persons and the ones that get the most attention, and it's sad. And unfortunately, once people also go past the age of 18, unless there is something compelling about the details of their disappearance, it's also just as tough to get attention to those cases. So I kind of understand why it's hard for there to be a lot of coverage on this case. First of all, the details on this case are practically nothing. We don't have a timeline. We don't really know even what she was doing at that time of night out at that location. Was she hanging out with friends? Was she walking to the gas station? There's nowhere for the leads to go from there, at least from a community of web sleuthers. Outside of that, do the police have some leads or some information that they've been chasing down? Do they have a better understanding of what she was doing on the day she disappeared? I would certainly hope so. But none of that information seems to be being made public, which once again does not help inform the public and help jar those memories out there about, oh, wait, I do remember seeing a girl at that point. Oh, I was at a gas station when this girl came in. We have no idea. I mean, even me talking about a gas station is just a wild assumption because there's 2 gas stations on the corner where she disappeared. So it's very tough already with a case like this when you have a substance abuse problem involved, because a lot of people just want to turn away from it, want to not pay any attention to it. When you have a strong possibility that this is a runaway, which is not necessarily written in stone. There certainly could be something else going on here, but we don't have any details that would lead us to a conclusion that there is certainly foul play involved. The closest thing we have to a detail like that is the fact that she left her ID and her wallet behind. But outside of that, it's not like her ID and wallet were found at the side of a road and the money was all cleaned out, or a piece of her clothing was found somewhere. We don't have any real condition around this that necessarily leads us to a foul play conclusion. And we don't have an interesting tidbit, and it's so weird to talk about it like this, kind of makes me sick in one way. But for a lot of this coverage to kick on, if you have like a piece of videotape of her right before she disappeared, all of a sudden you'll see the coverage on this case just pop around it, especially if there's something compelling about that piece of videotape, like she's walking with someone that they can't identify, or she gets into a car that they can't identify, or it looks like someone's following her that they can't identify. If there's any innate mystery, particularly with a piece of film or even information about the final time where she was known to be, that really helps generate media around these cases. And unfortunately, this case just doesn't have that. That doesn't mean it's any less important, and that's certainly why we're covering it on today's episode of Searchlight. Jumping over to another article at theindychannel.com, Gerry said after 4 months, the family has given up hope that they will still find Karena alive. Quote, "You don't think it's going to happen to you, but it happens more and more now every day," said Gerry. "Watch your children. Keep an eye on your kids. The most they're going to do is be mad at you. They'll get over it. Keep your kids close to you." Gerry, if by chance you happen to see this video, please, please, please do your best to keep this hope alive. 4 months in terms of missing people time is really not that long of a period of time. I know it's even more at this point, but there are many, many cases out there where the person is found a year or more after they go and disappear. So I don't think it's time to give up hope yet. And I really hope that you, Gerry, or people around you might help you see that there is a very strong possibility that she is alive out there somewhere. And look, I do enough of these shows. I would certainly not want to instill or create any false hope, but I can tell you, at least from the very limited details we can see about this case, there seems to be a high likelihood that whatever addiction she was battling, combined with the fact that she hit being 18 years of age, and knowing that that addiction likely comes with a social circle that could be pretty vast, I think there is a very strong possibility that she has run away to be with that addiction, that she has chosen that addiction over her family. If you speak to families that have dealt with severe addiction problems, I think that they would likely tell you that there is a very strong chance of that as well. So here's where I turn it over to you, brain scratchers. Please use the comments below to share thoughts and ideas. If you find any other links to information about this case, share that below. I'm also going to ask that we please be respectful on this topic. Addiction problems are extremely tough. And there's this weird thing that I see where some people act like, well, that would never happen to me. That would never happen in my family. Well, if you look at the stats, typically 1 in 10 people is dealing with some type of severe addiction problem. So if your family is more than 10 people, you probably have someone in that family that's dealing with it. You just might not know about it. So let's please keep our minds and our hearts open to cases like this and see if there's something we can do to help bring Karena home. And then maybe she could take on those other issues that she has to work through. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here on BrainScratch Searchlight. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please be sure to share this video if you have friends in the area. I'd really appreciate that, and hopefully we can get some more eyes and ears on this case and maybe drum up some more media on this. I will certainly keep you up to date with any new developments. Take care, and I'll see you on the next show on the Lord and Arts channel.